What's going on, guys? We are back, Duncan and myself. We got another episode of Tell It Like It Is, and it's gonna be going down as far as we can see because Duncan, it's been 2 weeks since we did a show, and you've had some stuff that you've been look this and this is going on, and I've been dying to talk to you about it. So I'm ready, man. How you been? First of all, let's start with that.
Just make sure you can hear me okay?
It's
Yes?
Yep, I can hear you perfect.
Good, 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 because we're doing it slightly different. Yes, I have been awesome as normal. It has been an interesting couple of weeks since we've last talked. There's been just a bit of news going on, new hashtags, new games not coming. Oh, it's going to be a fun one, I think. It's going to be
Oh
a
my
fun
god, I
one.
forgot. I guess we never talked about these hashtags live, right?
We talked a bit about hashtag Stadia 100,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
the last time, and unfortunately, what I thought was going to happen has happened, and I think we have seen that over the last couple of weeks since we've
Yeah,
last
but I,
talked.
I would like to say what you're alluding to is you felt that Stadia 100 would start chaos and anarchy, and I think it did, right? But I think things tapered down a bit. Can we?
It has it has tapered down a bit, but it's also left a lot of sour tastes in people's mouths
Yeah.
as well. And I think it's done at this moment in time. I would say it's probably done more harm than good.
Really?
But yes, I believe so. Yes, but I can see that it has started to calm down and it is looking okay now. We'll say it's looking a bit better.
Well, I'll say this. I will say that in the beginning, there was a big misconception of what it represented. Excuse me. And I think a lot of people who probably was upset by it kind of understands like what it is now, right? For instance, okay, so like you said, you think it started chaos and anarchy. I agree, but look at this. When it first started, this is hard. See, it's tell it like it is, and keeping it real is hard to do with trying to leave out certain people because how can you kind of explain things with leaving people out, right? It's kind of hard, right?
Yep, it is.
So, anyways, so Avery was like at first, hey, we're not going to use the Stadia 100, right? Because it seemed like it stand for negativity. And then he decided, you know what, guys, go ahead, you could use Stadia 100. So that's a big deal. I feel like that's a big like the olive branch or the shaking hands or whatever to see a person's like my recent stream for GSN. Um, I was able to put it out there and put Stadium 100. So how cool is that though? You would have thought you would have
Yes,
never seen that.
uh, again, I had no problems with Stadia 100. I just thought the timing was bad
Yeah.
and it was going to cause issues. Uh, and I think that was. Oh, that was my phone. That's what happens when I charge my phone. Uh, did you hear what it said?
No, what is that?
Okay, here we go. When I charge my phone, this is me charging my phone. Oh, that hurts. There you go.
So when I use my GPS, I change the voice of the woman to sound Australian, and I call her Sarah. Do you have a name for your phone or when it speaks to you?
No, it's just an iPhone. It's just Siri. Siri. Oh no, we're going to set it off. We're going to set off the line as well. No, well, just getting back to the hashtags and stuff.
Right.
I had no problem with it. I think the intentions were good and all that sort of carry on, but I just seen what it was going to cause,
Yeah.
and it caused a hell of a lot of more aggro than it really should have caused. But I'm glad to see that has sort of calmed down now.
I agree. I do feel it did calm down. But I agree with you. Yeah, when it first started off, oh man, was it like the Civil War going on? I thought this was like a Marvel movie or something.
Yeah, It definitely was. It was like kicking off something shocking, and some of the private chats I've had with a number of people were just unreal about it. I think it's, again, intentions were good. Intentions. I think I could see what the intentions were, but you could just see what was going to happen.
I mean, is there anything else we need to say about this?
No, I think it's done and dusted now. I think it's all calmed down. It is all. I'm not going to say all good. I think there is still a bit of a touchiness out there.
Yeah.
But I think for more or less, it is all good. And if people want to use it, they can go and use it. I will be using it, but I don't care if people use it or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Now, I know you already talked about this, but I wanted to talk. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, so I want to bring up. You did a show. I didn't get to see your show, but I think my buddy Ray seen your show, so he mentioned it, and you mentioned this to me. So you and I once said, and I said, the day I see Stadia have games that they had already, and then the new game come out like a part 2 or a sequel, and they don't get that game, then I may want to worry. So you said to me,
we're at 2. We're at 2 now.
All right, so
this new one, I'll be completely honest, like I normally am. This new game is MotoGP 2021. It is the follow-up to MotoGP 2020, and I don't know anybody who has played that game on Stadia. So I think that is the reason why it hasn't came, because no one has been buying it.
I was about to say, is MotoGP on Stadia? It is?
Yes, it is. So this is a sequel, which hasn't came. The main talking point of this one is Football Manager, which is a massive game. It doesn't have a sequel. And by the looks of things, we're going to be hit with a third game in the next month or two. I think it's just over a month and a half, in F1 2021. Doesn't look like it's coming to Stadia as yet.
I will want to say this, right? So we are speculating. Okay, because is there an actual statement for any of these 3 games that said it will not be coming to Stadia?
Football Manager was meant to be out of October, and it's a yearly franchise. Do you think it's going to do well if it comes out now? Do you think it's coming? It's done. It's done.
Well, no. So what I want to again, and I apologize, I'm not a sports guy. So I just want to put that out there. So you're gonna have to guide me through this. So Stadia had a Football Manager already.
Yes. To put this into context, Football Manager, I know a lot of people in the States don't realize how big this game is. This would be the equivalent of Madden not coming to Stadia the following year. It is that big of a game. It is a absolute massive game. And if you don't believe me, if you jump on to Steam now and go to the most played games, you'll find at least 3 copies of Football Manager in the top 100 games played. It is an absolute monster of a game.
All right, so I got a comment for that, but before I get there, because I want you to help me out. So Football Manager came out, when Stadia first came out?
Yeah, it came out then, and then it was due out there about 6 months ago now.
All right, so 2019 came out, and then...
2020 came out, 2021 didn't come out.
Okay, so it didn't come out and it still hasn't come out. All right. Now, you said if you go on Steam, you'll see it's one of the top streamed games, right?
Top Steam games, yes. It's probably in the top 10.
Okay, let me ask you this. It might be the top streamed game, meaning a lot of people are playing it, and you said it's very popular, but how is that equating in money? Like, does it make as much money? Does it sell as much as Madden? Something like that?
You're talking at least over $1 million a year. So we're talking fairly substantial.
But not like Madden as far as football.
It would be the equivalent of Madden not coming over, maybe not in sales wise, but in looks wise, if that didn't come.
Okay.
So
now I'll say this, right? Let me just say this, because I don't know, right? But you guys know my passion is Stadia, so Stadia is my primary platform that I play games. So I am passionate about it. But I'll call Stadia out also. So, but what I'm trying to, again, we're speculating. But what I'm trying to speculate is that one, MotoGP came out. I'm a Stadia guy. I didn't realize it came out. 2, but that doesn't mean everybody's like me. 2, Football Manager, I mean, I don't know, I never played it, but if I was gonna think of playing a football game, I'd probably play Madden. And then 3, what may have hurt F1 if it doesn't come is they gave it away as a pro game at some point. So it's kind of like, are people gonna want to pay for it? Like, I feel like Stadia may have shot themselves in the foot a little bit. You made it a pro game, and then some people are gonna be like, if the new one come out, well, I'm not gonna pay for it because the last one was a pro game. So then you might not make that money, and then the developers might say, well, if we put it on your platform, people are gonna, have the expectations of it being pro, and we want to make that more money. It's kind of a conundrum. But saying that means that I might have an excuse of why it's not coming, and then that doesn't mean Stadia is gonna die. Just saying.
Yeah, you may think that, but I'm going to throw this out to you. Okay. Are you aware of the Stadia racing community?
I know you guys did a thing last weekend.
No, this isn't us. This is a whole community on Stadia. So like you were trying to get your Avengers community going.
Right.
This is a racing community who organise multiplayer races every single day on Stadia to get the multiplayer lobbies going. This game, F1 2021, if this does not come, there is talk in there that some of them are going to be jumping ship because they're not going to have the game. This is about spreading them seeds and letting the community build up. There is a fantastic racing community out there. Yes, we play F1 and Grid and all sorts on Stadia, but this is a hardcore sort of racing group, and there is some discontent there with this game not coming. I don't think you realise how big F1 2020 is, or the F1 series is. If you go on Twitch and see how many people are streaming, this is actual streaming, this isn't buying, there is a much bigger following for F1, the game, than there is for Madden. And it's not, and there is an esports league and everything for F1. This game is actually, it actually scared me how popular this game because I was completely ignorant about this.
Well, why do you think? Why do you think it's not coming to Stadia? Because they didn't announce it yet.
Because Stadia haven't paid for it, just like Football Manager is my thinking. Because if you go back and look at the Football Manager boss's sort of tweets, it sort of indicates they are looking paid to bring it to Stadia. They want to make sure they get their money back at least. That's my opinion on it. So Stadia is now in an awful position. If you said it, but you're making the excuses, and I know you're making the excuses for it. But there we have got 2 games so far, which are yearly franchises not coming back to Stadia. I will give you MotoGP as a non-big deal. I honestly do not think that is a big deal, and I said such as well. I think it's a small deal. Football Manager is an absolutely massive deal. We are talking. It's hard to put it into words how big of a game this is. Could you imagine if you're into American football, you're into Madden, could you imagine the American football teams using Madden as part of their way they actually do their coaching and such, in recruiting players? Do you think they would be able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would. Well, no.
Football Manager, the game, is that highly regarded that it is used in some regards to actual proper football, the most popular sport on the planet.
So, you know what's funny? When you say Football Manager, in my head, again, I'm not a sports guy. So Football Manager is a soccer game or a football game?
It's a football game. It is proper football, not your hand egg. Football. You call it soccer, we call it...
Okay, yeah, that's what... So I'm thinking... That's why I keep saying Madden. Because I'm thinking Football Manager was American, like that type of football. But you're saying it's a soccer game. Well, we got FIFA, man. You don't need Football Manager.
Yeah.
You know? FIFA's the popular one, you know.
Football Manager is extremely popular, and you can see so many people playing it. It has its own massive YouTube following as well, just like FIFA. Yeah. People actually... I think it's like... the baseball game, the MLB The Show.
Right.
that comes over here. We're just laughing at it basically because we don't play baseball. A lot of people are jumping up because it's part of Game Pass
Right.
now. But outside of the US, that's not going to sell well. That is what I would say. That's probably the equivalent sort of level of
Okay.
Football Manager.
Well, let me ask you this: what sells more, FIFA or Football Manager?
FIFA.
All right, well there you go. We got FIFA. We don't need Football Manager. All right, next.
No, we do need Football
No,
Manager.
Just playing.
Yeah, I know you're just playing, but this is a major franchise is not coming, and it is an absolute worry. And when you're looking at the second major franchise, probably not coming in F1. I think the issue is it's because they are more European sort of sports.
Right.
Rather than, and I don't think you may see this.
Yeah, I don't see it. So you know what it is, and again, I'm not a sports guy, but I feel like the European. So this is how I feel about Stadia. Stadia is like the redheaded stepchild. I feel like the European is redheaded stepchild. So you guys still don't got Luna. Like there's like you guys always get slighted. So in a weird way, maybe it's not that big of a deal that Football Manager isn't coming back to Stadia.
If you don't think it's a big deal, then I think you're living in cloud cuckoo land.
Yeah, I just don't know. That's all. So again, forgive me for my ignorance.
Football Manager, I think you don't realize how big of a franchise this is, and there is an FM on Stadia Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
It is that big of a deal. And it has got more followers than some people, which is absolutely mad. This game is big, and I might even put it out there. It's probably been bigger than Avengers on Stadia. So I think you really don't realize how big of a game.
And again, I don't, but that's why it's glad to have you break it down. You know, so I mean, I'm curious to see what happens if they don't get it because well no, they haven't got it. You said
They haven't got it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, the F1 is going to cause a big ruckus if that does not come on.
F1 now, probably.
F1 is it's been a Stadia Pro game which they got paid for. They would have been paid to put that on Stadia Pro, so they won't be losing sales because that's why they got it on Stadia Pro. This has actually put a load of people into the racing genre. That is one of the staples of the Stadia racing community, which again, I think if you're into racing games, go check out. They are organizing the multiplayer on that.
Let me ask you this. I heard that you could tweak F1 a little bit to make it not be too much of a sim. Me personally, I like Grid better because Grid. I'm more of an arcade racer though. So for me, F1 not coming. I mean, Grid. I'm not that into Grid either. I mean, I'm the guy who likes like Burnout stuff like that. But
yeah, if F1 doesn't come, I have extremely serious doubts on where Stadia is heading because that is such a massive title. I have tweeted out a video of showing what the multiplayer lobbies are like on PlayStation, and the lobbies take 22 people. And it took me 30 seconds full speed scroll to go down all these, and the majority of the lobbies are completely and utterly full. And this game this game has basically built up a really great audience out there. I know when we actually put F1 on, normally we get close to full lobbies when we're doing it, and that's 22 people playing a game on Stadia, which I think if we're going to be brutally honest, that's actually quite difficult to do when you're trying to get sort of full lobbies going.
I agree.
And that game is sowing the seeds for Stadia and building up a community there who just want to play on Stadia. And they are losing that game, and there is people talking that they are jumping ship, and that's the best way to actually say it. They are going to be either upgrading their PC so they can play it. They're going to get an Xbox. They're going to get a PlayStation to play that game. And what happens if you go onto the Xbox or PlayStation? You're less likely to go on Stadia, and you're not going to be buying that game. And
let me tell you this, Duncan. I don't know because listen, I remember when Outriders was coming out, the demo, and I went to download the demo. I was like, see, this is why I like the cloud because it was a slap in the face to remind me how long it took to download that demo, and I was like, I can't imagine one having to download everything, two having to worry about the patches, three have to worry about space. Like I'm gonna be cloud forever. I don't care if Stadia dies tomorrow. I'll have to go to another cloud. And I think the people who are like, oh, downloading isn't that big of a deal or this and that, go back to what you used to, and you let me know, if it doesn't annoy you, and then talk about like Game Pass. I feel like Game Pass has great value, but you got so many games you could get, but that means that's so much more games you got space you're gonna have and download and install and uninstall.
So you haven't put in for your xCloud yet, where you can get basically most of the Stadia library in the cloud now, even the big games. Or we're not talking about that now.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely we definitely got to bring that up as well. But yeah, no, I still don't have xCloud. I tried it
Yeah,
in the very beginning. I had to beta.
yeah, I have still got. I still haven't got access, but I have seen a number of people have got access. And I'll be honest, there's some people have said it is running just as well as Stadia
Right.
in 1080 mode. There's people saying it's running awful. And
Right.
there's some people saying it's running really, really well, and some
So
in between.
I watched Stadia.
And
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, you go.
No, I was gonna say I watched Stadia Vet. He streamed. He was streaming, I think Forza or a racing game, and it looked good to me. My thing is this: Stadia for me is still gonna be the king, because they allow you to buy games. That's always gonna be for me, right? Now I give XCloud credit. You're gonna have more games on XCloud. You're gonna be able to have some games like Outriders and MLB and all of the, probably almost every exclusive Xbox game is going to be included, right? So that's going to be cool, right? You can't knock that. It's massive value. But what's the off chance of throughout the year your favorite game, right? You can't get it on xCloud because if I'm a cloud enthusiast and I like that I could pick up my phone and just leave the house and know that I could play it at the diner or wherever. But then if I get xCloud and I'm not gonna be able to get that same my favorite game. Like for instance, let's say I just use my game, Marvel Avengers, right? I like where I could just play it whenever. If I want to jump on real quick, do a daily mission, cool. If you can't have access to every game on xCloud, then it's still never gonna be Stadia for me. You know.
So, yes, some of us have been joking about this. The goalposts keep. I know you've been to be give you your due here that you have been saying this for a while now, but the goalposts keep on changing for Stadia as it goes down.
Right.
Some people were making a joke about this with me a couple of days ago. It used to be 4K and the fastest hard drive going. Are we talking about SSDs anymore with Stadia? No, because the new consoles are absolutely amazing with that.
Right.
The only things which are getting brought up now is the 4K, which Stadia games are. Or the indie titles are struggling to hit 4K, so that's starting to die a death to 4K.
Right.
And the other thing now is buying the games, and we do know that the buying the games is coming on xCloud as well, because every promise that Phil Spencer has basically hit with xCloud is they've done it. And we also know now the Series X blades are in testing and they're going to be pushed out here shortly. Again, you brought up Outriders. You can play Outriders on xCloud right now. So that was $70, or was it $60? It was $60 on Stadia.
I don't know. I didn't. Yeah, I'm assuming it was 60. It was $60. I don't think there's a $70 game yet on Stadia. The next gen games are $70.
There's a £65 game on Stadia for us, which is the equivalent of $90.
Okay.
So I'm just putting that out there. That is Resident Evil. So I'm going to give you a couple of games. Going to give you a couple of games here, and these games are on xCloud at this moment in time. You have got Outriders, you have Doom, you've got Dragon Quest. There is 3 big games which have came to Stadia in the last couple of months. Well, they are all part of that, and one of them games will not be leaving.
Well, here's the thing. Doom came out a year ago. So here's the thing. If we're gonna compare, so what I want to give xCloud credit for is having a brand new game come to xCloud. I'm not gonna bring up an old game like Doom, which was my Doom Eternal was my game of the year game last year, but that came out a year ago, a whole year. So, but let's give xCloud credit for something special, right? So like Stadia, if Stadia got Resident Evil 7. Oh, that's not special to me. I beat that game. That's like people on VR. Oh, guess what? Now VR has Resident Evil 4. I beat that game in 2005. I don't care.
This is where I disagree with you with
Okay.
that. Bringing Resident Evil 4 to VR, I think, is brilliant because that is actually making use of the technology.
Right.
I would have absolutely no problem of games coming to Stadia which make use of the technology. And I've actually seen this post during the week, or maybe when we haven't been there. If they got Slay the Spire to Stadia, which is a 3-year-old game with crowd choice, crowd play, or crowd choice.
Which game?
States.
Which game?
What was that? Slay the Spire. It's a roguelike card game. So you can bring crowd choice and state share, drop them features into it. That revolutionizes the game and makes it different. And I think that makes games new again. And with Resident Evil 4 going into VR, I think that makes that game new again because you're experiencing it in a different way. That is where I would
listen. They said on the video they didn't change anything. It's still the same game, but they added like the VR elements of it. Like so, I mean. I don't know if we want to get into this, but for me, VR is still a gimmick. I haven't really. VR for me reminds me of 3D. When 3D, I remember I had the HTC Evo, which was a 3D phone. I bought a 65-inch Samsung TV that was 3D. I bought 5 3D glasses, and they each cost $150 a piece. That's how invested I was in 3D. I had a phone, TV, the box, the 3D box or DVD player, the glasses, and at the end of the day, 3D didn't last. Now, VR is cool, but remember, even on Stadia Source, Roundtable Podcast, they had the developer for Sky Climbers, and he said out his own mouth, Sky Climbers was originally a VR game, and he said it just wasn't going to make the money. A lot of people aren't back in VR, and he said we were happy to take it out of VR, and that's coming from a developer.
Yeah, you cannot compare 3D to VR. VR is completely and utterly different.
I think at the time 3D was people would have said the same thing about 3D. I'm telling you, I remember having it was such exciting to get on PlayStation 3 Resistance Fall of Man 3 in 3D. That was one of my favorite games. I had the glasses, everything. It was at the time it was awesome, but eventually it ended up just becoming a gimmick. It was something cool, but it kind of fizzled out. Now will VR do that? I don't know. But for me, VR hasn't, like, I played the Iron Man game. I went to my friend's house, played it for 2 hours straight. It was cool, but VR for me is never going to be like a regular console game where I'm punching a dude in the face and I slam him and throw him. It's always some catchy turn and tilt and up and down and stuff.
You see, the thing is, you've played it on PlayStation VR.
Right.
When you move on to the Quest 2, where you've no wires and you've got the whole space to play in, completely and utterly different.
It's the same thing as when you go to the arcade and they got the VR helmet you put on, and now you can move all around and no cords or anything.
It is completely and utterly different. And the thing is, Facebook is actually dumping a load of money into VR.
Right.
What does that mean? They're getting a load of games onto
Candy Crush on VR.
Star Wars VR, Assassin's Creed VR, which I am so absolutely looking forward to playing because I am absolutely looking forward to that because I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I'm just so looking forward to that. But dumping Resident Evil 4 into VR, it is just a completely different experience. Just like if games were dropped into cloud, making use of their technology, it makes it into a new game.
Well, you know what? I think it's something for everybody. For instance, there's console players that they don't want nothing to do with the cloud, right? So you can't convince them that having a link on a YouTube video and you click on it and pull you in the game is cool. You can't convince them, which is blows my mind. I have friends of mine. I said, dude, you wouldn't mind not having to download your game? I don't care. I know when I'm buying a game, I'm just gonna give myself about an hour to download it. So there's certain people, and same thing with me in VR. Oh my God, I could play Resident Evil and not doing nothing for me. Not yet. Now, it might be cool to play every now and then, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't wait to go home and put my VR helmet on. Like, you know.
Speaking of that, Stadia. Do we talk about that? What happened yesterday in Stadia?
All right, well, hold on real quick. Let's just say what's up to the chat real quick. I don't want them to feel like, let's, so Hell Monkey's in the building. Mr. Irmaro's in the building. Oh, man, he loves VR, so I know he's roasting me right now. Ray's, the Cyborg's in the building. Unitrix is in the building. Let's see. And any comment you see that you wanna comment on, Duncan, too, feel free.
I'm going to give you your due here. Believe it or not, we're basically near enough the same age, aren't we?
I'm probably like 10 years older than you, man.
How old are you?
I just turned 45 2 weeks ago.
I'm 42.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you look good, man.
Yeah, thanks. I just turn off the camera for a wee second.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let me give a shout out to Disto. Let's see. Stadia Vet is in the building. All right, cool. And all right, good. And I see you was answering some of these things, so that's pretty cool. Wow, Stadia Vet said we're both old.
Yes, I am really old, and I know I'm really old. Knees, in fact, tell me I'm really old. But yeah, it's just such a great time for gaming. Just as a whole, there is just something for everybody, and it's. I think the news of the last week with PlayStation and Xbox up in their cloud presence is absolutely brilliant.
I agree.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see where that goes. Oculus with their stuff, some of the stuff is going to be a load of fun.
I want PlayStation, man, to really get serious about the cloud. That's what I'm dying for. I'm dying to see Sony make a statement, or actually like. Sony is a big time player, right? But I think they've been sitting high and pretty because the PlayStation sales of the console has always been great. The sales of their exclusives been great. Their exclusives been time and time again game of the year. You know, you got The Last of Us Part 1 was game of the year. Last of Us 2 was game of the year. How do you get a sequel? A game and a sequel years later, and both of them become game of the years if we leave out politics. You know, you got God of War 2018 was game of the year. So, you know, but I want to see them say, you know what? Maybe the cloud is serious, and I want to jump into the ring. Now, they might be already thinking about this. I mean, Xbox made it verbal. You know, 2 years ago when they said, listen, our competition isn't Sony and Nintendo, it's Google and Amazon, right? So they made it clear. But I'm dying to see, because I used to be a Sony guy. I was a PlayStation guy before I jumped onto the cloud. So I'm dying to see, you know, what they got in store. But you was about to say something though. Before you were about to say, okay, so let's talk about that. About
marketing and PR of Stadia.
Okay.
What do you know what happened yesterday with Judgment?
No, I just know Judgment came out on Stadia.
Would it surprise you to know that there is state share in Judgment?
Yeah, because I didn't hear that.
Has Stadia said anything about it?
Not that that's just the first time I'm hearing that.
Exactly, and that is the point. One of the best tweets I've seen in a while was yesterday. The number one thing about Stadia is you don't talk about Stadia, and I think that is what is going on at Stadia HQ, where they are just going, we're not going to sell this product to anybody. We're just going to keep all the goodies hidden behind, and only the hardcore fanboys can go out there and actually find all this and promote it out there, because they are doing an absolutely horrific job at this moment in time of selling Stadia to the masses. Because if you, a 10-second video, come play Yakuza in a completely different way, in the cloud, with state share your levels with your mates, and away you go. They could have maybe pulled in a couple of sales there, got people playing it, and they're not even taking the opportunity here to market this game for PC users either, because it's not on PC. Stadia is keeping everything a secret.
Why do you think that is?
I haven't a Scooby-Doo.
Me neither. Yeah, I mean, I said when they had that one, what game was it recently that was like, it was coming out and it was like, I think it was Resident Evil, and it was like, no downloads, no. I said this need to be on every single game that's coming out for Stadia. Every commercial needs to say, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. You know.
Yeah, it's there is so many benefits for Stadia, but they just do not know how to sell the service out there. It is just sitting there, and
now let me.
It just makes me really, really frustrated that they just do not know how to get the good news out there about Stadia and cloud gaming.
Let me ask you this though. I can't remember the last time I seen a commercial about xCloud either.
Can you not? They are doing it all the time.
No, where? On what?
They're doing it on Twitter. Every single post, you can play this on xCloud. You go to this, go to that, and they have got their ground roots absolutely infused about xCloud. They've got their brilliant video in which they actually showed how they actually use xCloud and showed you the benefits of it. They are pushing it all the time.
Oh, those commercials must avoid me, I guess.
Yeah, but they're on Twitter. They are Phil Spencer. Anybody? When was the last time I heard about Phil Harrison? Was that Immortals Phoenix Rising? Was the last time I heard from Phil Harrison?
Possibly.
Phil Spencer mentions xCloud all the time.
Well,
Greenberg mentions xCloud all the time. Game Pass mentions xCloud all the time. Xbox Twitter handle mentions xCloud on the cloud. Xbox UK mentions xCloud all the time. Every media source going for Xbox mentions xCloud.
Well, technically, they don't mention xCloud because it's not even called xCloud.
You know what I mean, but
I know. So here's the thing, though. You know what's hard about this thing? Xbox, Microsoft is a juggernaut in the game, right? If they say something, you're gonna have a few people that's gonna take their words out of context and use it against them, right? But the majority is gonna give it a thumbs up. Now, Stadia, when they say something, it's like the flip. The majority is gonna take their words and use it against them, and you're gonna have the few people that's like giving a thumbs up. So I think after again, I say it before, good stuff, they went all out. That you couldn't go nowhere and not hear good stuff event is coming. Came out, everybody just dumped on it. And ever since then, they went quiet. So I feel like,
Yeah. I know he has got a bit of a mixed reaction now, but I love Andy Morse.
Yeah,
he summed this up absolutely brilliant, and I know a lot of people have stopped following him. I still recommend the follow because he is joking about when he says these sort of things. But this is the exact point which you're trying to allude to here. I think this is probably a lot more eloquently done. The advantage, I'm quoting this here, advantage with xCloud is it's an added bonus. If it doesn't work for you, you can still play your games on your Xbox or PC. If Stadia doesn't work for you, there's no other option to play games through Stadia. Bad experience in xCloud, you can blame the internet. Bad experience in Stadia sucks.
Yeah.
I think that is probably one of the best ways to actually express how it is the way Stadia is being perceived out there and the mixed reception at times. Sometimes it's absolutely great out there when it's all positive. If there's any sort of hiccup, that is where it sort of goes, and that is why Xcloud's going to get a bit of a Bible. That's the way PlayStation Now is going to get a Bible. That's why GFN's going to get a Bible. Luna won't get that Bible, and Stadia won't get that Bible. Sorry, that Bible means a pass.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's funny about Luna. You bring that up. You know the recent news with Luna and them not coming out with the Lords of the Ring anymore. Lords of the Ring is a massive IP. Amazon's even making a TV show. Just imagine if they could have had crossed that into each other, and them losing that is a big deal. But you don't hear it at all. They're getting that Bible.
They're not getting the Bible. I think it's absolutely massively, massively disappointing news, and I've actually said that as well in numerous places. And if you actually read into it, it isn't actually Amazon Studios which is the issue
Right.
there. There seems to be crossover with Tencent, so it is multiple companies talking together, and two big, massive juggernauts are fighting over it. So I think it was always going to probably be a recipe for trouble, just because
But
of
you
the
know what's
way
funny
things are
though?
going.
They announced that game how long ago? It's like you announced that game a long time ago, so you didn't know this was going to happen. You should, they should have just never announced it or never went with it. Like, how do you announce that game probably a year ago, right? And then a year later, now you have to cancel it because of contractual issues. You think you would have thought that would have came up back then when they announced it. So how that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah, I have a feeling, and probably this, but here we go. I think come August, I don't think we're going to be talking about Amazon's studios being awful anymore. I think the more I'm seeing of new words, I think the more I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think that could be a sleeping giant, as we like to say. I
right.
think that game could absolutely take off. I'm not even saying for Luna. I'm just talking in the wider sense of it being a online RPG game, and I think it's shaping up really well, and there
Right.
is a bit of good buzz coming off it, and it's making people's most anticipated game lists and such like.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it definitely has that buzz around it that it's supposed to be something new, something big. But we'll just have to see when it comes out. But I'm all for. Listen, I'm a tech guy, so I'm all for come out with the next big game or whatever. Wow, people! I love to see stuff wow. I'm more of a AAA guy than an indie guy. Like I love it all, but I'm always about that. Whoa, that next big game. But one thing Stadia Vet said that was important. He said Stadia did come out verbally and said that they were gonna stop announcing things. So I think they're just doing what they said, and people are still holding it to them.
for me, Stadia needs to come out and say something big, and they need to do it soon. But as the weeks and months drag on, I think it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. And I know we were talking about this straight off, about buying games or Game Pass renting games.
Right.
When you just, it isn't about buying the one game and comparing it to Game Pass. You just look at the whole overall sort of value there. And you just go through that xCloud library, and I am not joking you. You go through that library and you can tick off a absolute ton of games which are on Stadia and on Luna, and you can go tick 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 down the list, and there is such a massive crossover. And then I know we're touching into this again. Then you've got the exclusives on top of that, and the value option does not look there. So just here's the example. Do you want to play Outriders and you're not too sure, or you want to play Outriders and you want to play it in the cloud? There's $15 or $60 on Stadia.
I agree, but let's get into that. So, are you going to be able to play it everywhere you can play Stadia?
I know I would be.
Are you going to be able to play on? Are you going to be able to use any console or keyboard? Any controller or keyboard as with Stadia?
Here's the thing: I wouldn't go down that route because, as we know, has been starting to remove keyboard and mouse from Stadia.
Well, we're talking about today. So today,
okay, then we can do that with PUBG.
We can do that with PUBG, but we're talking about that one game. So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of benefit. Listen, here's the guy I am, right? I still have an Xbox in the living room. I got a PlayStation 4 a couple feet away from me that I just watched Mortal Kombat on this morning after I went and seen it in the movies last night and fell asleep. But I had to watch it again, so I watched it on my PlayStation 4. I have a PlayStation 4 in the living room, right? But I'm one of these people. I kind of like to have. I want to have the one stop shop. I want you to come out with something that make me say I don't want to go to my other avenues, right? That's why I primarily play Stadia. When, okay, if and when, because they're gonna get there. When xCloud get on that level, then we can talk. But as of right now, I could go to my mother-in-law's house, like I did a couple weeks ago, and I took my phone and a controller and I played like I was playing on a console with a controller without internet, because she don't have internet. If I could do it that smooth with xCloud, right, with my same phone, and I could pick any controller, right. So that's the thing I'm saying. I want to. Could I play on my laptop? So what I want to see is, and I'm not, and I give Xbox. I'm gonna give Xbox xCloud the pass. I don't really care too much about. Oh well, it doesn't have 4K and all that. No, I could rock with 1080p. I can, right? You might be like, no, I need it. Some of you guys watching this might say, I need 4K. I don't, right? So, but all I need is xCloud to do is, if you could tell me right now, xCloud is comparable to Stadia as far as on the many devices you could play it on this, you could use any controller. Like if I'm in the jam and I'm at somebody's house and they only got an Xbox, well, I can use an Xbox controller. If I'm in a jam and I'm at somebody's house and they only have PlayStation controllers, I use. So that's what I'm saying. But nowhere do I don't think they're not gonna get there. I know they are. They're throwing money like crazy. So why would they not be throwing money in the same area for xCloud? Or what is the actual name?
Xbox Cloud streaming or gaming. It's one of them too. I think it's
The
cloud gaming.
streaming, right?
They keep on. I'll give them some zip here. They keep on changing the name. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, they're terrible when it comes to names. But
they should have just kept it as xCloud. Again, I fully respect that. I know a load of people out there. That is the reason why they're sticking with Stadia for the time being.
Right.
Is just like you. They want to buy their games, and even though it's technically not viable, don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I'm a guy who paid for GameFly for. I'm just thinking about canceling my GameFly now because I don't like. I got what's that zombie game for PlayStation? Days Gone, and I had it for 7 months and played it like 3 times. So look at all the money I wasted, and I paid $17.99 a month. I just got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I never turned it on yet, and I had it for a week. So I'm wasting money because I always play Stadia and I play in the cloud and I got it down, whatever. So I'm the guy that I need you to give me. I need xCloud to say, hey, everything you do on Stadia, we can do over here. But we got to your point. But we have more games. We have more value because all you need to do is pay $14.99 a month, and you'll get games that come out day and date. You'll get exclusive games that come out day and date, or maybe earlier. Because I remember when I had Game Pass before, I got to play Gears of War 4 days before everybody else. I thought that was cool. I was like, wow, they put that out early for your Game Pass people.
See, this is. I'm just doing a wee slight plug here. I'm just doing a wee tiny plug here.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about this over on Cloudy. We're not sure if we're going to do it as a big episode or one for another. We're going to be going through the pros and the cons of buying and renting games. I put my cards on the table. I think subscriptions are the way it's going, and it will be like what we're doing with movies now. It is
But
watch most of your movies through Netflix
but
or whatever, but you do buy your favorite sort
yeah,
of
but
movies.
so let me ask you a question because I'm if I'm the guy, okay. If you tell me subscriptions is the way to go, and I'm the guy that I want to have just one thing, how do you sell Luna to me and I can't play Marvel Avengers on it? And that's my favorite game. Do you say, hey, Luna's the way to go, but I hope you also got a PlayStation or an Xbox because you ain't playing your favorite game?
This is what I've been preaching for such a long time.
Okay.
Go preach, Duncan. Is you will not. This I am Stadia 100%. I'm only going to have one thing going forward. I've got bad news for you. You won't. You are going to have multiple systems going forward, and because it's cloud, you can just jump, jump, jump. And you want to play Marvel Avengers, and it's not on Luna. You will go. I'll go play where it is. It is on 5 points. Where is it? And you can play it on the cloud in a subscription.
Right.
It is on PlayStation now. You want to go play
July 5th, it will no longer be on PlayStation Now.
Yes, it will be, but you've got until July 5th. And guess what? I think it's going to go on to a different one.
Okay, hold on. Let me say something to you. Do you know what you're saying? Get it on PlayStation Now. Play the game. Upgrade your characters. Get your characters. I don't know if you ever played it, but the cap level is 150. Hold on.
I was getting there.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yes, and I knew where you were going before.
Because that's a hard sell to tell me to play my favorite game, level up, July 5th, you can't do it, buy it somewhere. So spend money again to play it again and start all over. That's a hard sell.
So what is getting pushed by most of the game companies now?
What's that? Subscriptions?
Cross progression,
I hope, but not really. I mean, how many games? Well, we got 5 games that could do that, maybe?
You've got Fortnite. You've got Fortnite. You have got all the Ubisoft games.
Yeah, I don't.
You've got Destiny 2. You have it again. It's still in its early days, but I think we're talking a bit further down the line.
Yeah. This is down the road.
Yes, it's going to be the road, but this is what is going to happen, and you're going to jump between the different services, and what is going to sell the different services eventually as well as exclusives. That's why we're seeing so much of all the companies bang into each other. Again, it's going to get a bit messy in the next couple of years where everything is settling down.
Ace from Cloud Gaming Extreme, he's big on have them all, right? And I said to him, I said, dude, how are you going to tell the average person to pay for all these subscriptions? Now, I get it. If you didn't pay for, it's a past tense, if you didn't pay $500 for a console, but on a monthly basis, if you're going to spend here's me. I will, again, it's probably me. I will spend $60 a month if I know I could pretty much get everything from anywhere and it's all feels like Stadia. But I think we got a long time before we're going to be able to do stuff like that. And I probably wouldn't want to have, because the gaming companies are taking too long to allow crossplay for everything. They're taking too long to add cross progression to everything. So that's a little hard sell. Now, what the future you're talking about, that's going to be the time to have multiple subscriptions, because you're going to be able to jump on this subscription, that subscription, and your friends are going to be on it too, and we're all going to be able to play stuff together. But it's a hard sell. Like, for instance, my friend, when Marvel Avengers was coming out, we were getting it both on Stadia. Oh, we couldn't wait. This literally broke us. Like, we don't even play games no more. Verizon gave him a free code to get it on PlayStation, but not Stadia. He said, dude, how can I not play it on PlayStation for free? I said, I understand. He got it on PlayStation. He don't even play no more. I still play Marvel Avengers. We just kind of separated and went ways. Same thing with me. I always played Destiny. I got into the cloud. My friends stayed on PlayStation. They just kind of stopped playing with me, and we went our separate ways. That's the real future. Well, that's the present right now. But what you're talking about down the road, and I think is way down the road, where everybody's going to be on the same board and we can play together on any device.
This is what I'll say. At this moment in time, you could buy all the subscriptions of the major players. We're talking Shadow for your PC.
Yeah.
Xbox, Stadia Pro, Luna, PlayStation Now. I forgot I said Xbox are the five main services for about $40, maybe $50 a month. For me, as I love this one. This is one of the best ones I've actually heard. As a high volume gamer,
Okay.
because I play, that's another thing that's been thrown at me recently. I play too many games, which is absolutely nuts. I was Duncan. You don't play any games too now. I'm a high volume. I play too many games.
Well,
Gamer.
let me throw this in there real quick. What I don't like is, man, you guys got to get off Duncan. Duncan, you realize you're the whatever you do is evil. Whatever you don't do, it's So
yes, I just find it funny. For me, as a high volume gamer, I would be buying 1 or 2 games a month, if not actually a hell of a lot more. But that pays for. I don't need to buy any games anymore because I've got these. I've got the Shadow where I don't have to buy games on PC because you get the games off the Epic Store. You've got so many free to play games, and if I do want to buy games on PC, you can get Humble Bundle for $10, or was it $10 a month, and you get like 12 banging games, or you've got the actual Humble Bundle, and you've got your Steam sales, you can buy a load of games for cheap. Then you've got PlayStation Now, which has got, what's it, like 800 games in the library. Yes, I said 800, it is that. Then you've got xCloud now, Game Pass Ultimate, where you've got a couple of hundred games. This is the way it is going, and this is why
Duncan, what you're leaving out. Again, so here's where you and I differ. I don't buy that many games, right? I probably buy 5 games, so I'm a low volume gamer. I got certain games I like, I play, but I'm a multiplayer gamer. So what you described, it sounds like who are you playing with? Where are you? What friends are you playing with? If you're jumping from here to here to there.
I'm playing with Kelly with all my multiplayer games by the games. I have moved away from multiplayer games. I used to be big into COD.
So there you go.
But I am no longer playing that many multiplayer games. Says he has been sucked into Sea of Thieves. But we don't mention that point. But more or less, when I'm playing games, it is usually single player games where I can just sit and do it. So
what you described, your scenario is good for you, but your scenario wouldn't work for me. Yes, this is where it all gets very, very interesting down the line. When this is why there is this big draw to the picking up all the different talent. And if you look into the subscription game or the subscription model, what they are doing is they're bringing in a load of gas games, which are for people who don't know, that's games as a service. Mm-hmm. That is your games like Avengers, your games like Destiny.
Destiny, Forza Horizons, and all this. The games which the never-ending games. Right. That is why they're getting put into these subscriptions, is because people will buy the subscriptions to get access to them. And if there's more than one, you would get really suckered into them and playing nothing but them. So if Avengers was then, just imagine Square Enix gets bought by Microsoft, which was a rumor a couple of weeks ago, and Avengers drops into Game Pass. That I think may get a bit tempting for you. It could get tempting because you know it's never going to leave Game Pass. Because it's,
it would be tempting, but if I already got it on Stadia and Stadia plays better than xCloud and allow me to play on more things than xCloud, I know xCloud is going to get there, but they're just not there right now. And we can speculate all we want, but somebody could fact check us and say, hey, is it there now? And we would have to say no.
This is what I'm going to put out here. I put this tweet out yesterday. xCloud could work absolutely perfectly for one person, and Stadia will not work for the same person just because of the nature of cloud gaming. Cloud gaming is brilliant, and it lowers the barriers down so you can run these top-end games on your phones, your beat-up rusty old PCs or anything like that, but what you're reliant is on your internet. And if you're not in the right position, or your internet's not, your router's acting up slightly, each of these cloud services may not work correctly for you under the same conditions. So if you're playing on GFN and then you're playing absolutely flawless GFN and you jump over to Stadia, it might not work well in Stadia, and vice versa.
Right.
If you're playing in Stadia, if you jump over to GFN, it might not work for you. That is the nature of cloud gaming, and everybody's experience will vary. So my experience in Stadia, where I am, would be different to your experience, and unfortunately, that is the issue cloud gaming will have going forward. So if someone comes out here and says xCloud's working for me, absolutely flawless, and Stadia doesn't work for me, that could be 100% true because of just the way and the nature of cloud gaming. And that is one of the most frustrating things about cloud is everybody's experience varies.
I agree. Let me just jump into the comments. Chariot Man is in the building. GMR is in the building. Let's see. Hell Monkey. I want to see what you guys would say. I seen a comment. I wanted to comment on. Oh, I think it was Dr. Spaceman said something like, "I can't play my place." He said, I can play my PS5 from any of my devices." Yeah, I don't know anything about you playing your PS5 from all your devices. Let's see.
You can play your PlayStation 5 from any of your devices because you've got the PlayStation app, which you can do it. For me, again, this is where it varies from person to person. It doesn't actually work that well for me at this moment in time.
Yeah, you're talking about what is it called? I used to do it with my PlayStation 4, where you pretty much mirror it. What is it called?
Yeah. I forget the name of it, and you can do that with your Xbox as well. This is where it's not being controversial here. The Xbox version for me works really, really well.
Right.
So it does. Going back to this, experiences may vary. Me playing my Xbox remotely in a house which is literally 1 mile away, it works absolutely flawless. Me playing Stadia on the same internet does not work at all. It absolutely stutters, and it is completely unplayable.
Also, guys, if you got an actual question, just write the word question or put a Q and then ask your question, and then we'll go into the question. So, we've been talking for 1 hour and 5 minutes now. Should we get into what you brought up? Hashtag.
If you want to.
Yeah, let's do it, man. You know you and me, Duncan. People they look at us the same.
Hashtag copycat.
Copycat. Oh man, I want to hear that.
Yeah, I see the tweets. I was just stirring the pot.
No, I love it because I'm here to denounce whatever. So let's explain to the people what we're talking about here.
Yes, I think you're being in a better position. We talked about it last night, but you can tell me if I'm right or wrong there. Basically, you are Stadia Source in disguise, and you're branching out to gaming. It's a gaming source network. You're going to be everything Bash Community Network. Is that EBA?
Entertainment. So Entertainment Bash Community Network. So here's what's cool. Some people thought that, right? So this is why I said there's a right way to do announcement. There's a wrong way. Now, I said this last night to someone. I said, if you fell asleep and you never seen the announcement and you woke up today and nobody ever said anything to you, you know what would happen? You would go to Stadia Bash Community Network and you'd be like, oh, wow, look, they got a new logo. This looks cool. It's still called Stadia Bash Community Network. Oh, it's yellow colors now. Okay, I like the yellow. Or maybe I like the red. That's the way it used to look. Then you would look and be like, oh, wow, they put the playlist. They grouped Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday streams in one playlist. And they put the streamers underneath. And, oh, wow, look at this new section called Unscheduled Streams. That's what you would see. So if you missed the announcement now, okay, because I'm going to be real, and this is called Tell It Like It Is. If one day Stadia Source was called Stadia Source, and I missed the announcement, and I fell asleep, and I woke up the next day, and I went to Stadia Source, I'd be like, what the hell is GSN? Gaming, wait, what? Where's Stadia Source? That's what would happen. If you had no clue what the EBCN is, it doesn't matter. If you didn't care about it, doesn't matter. Right now, if you try to search for it, it doesn't even pop up. But if you search for Stadia Bash Community Network, that pops up. So that's two different things. I want to hear your rebuttal on that. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't. I think you're muted. Oh yeah, you got it muted.
It's probably yeah, it's probably better than muted, isn't it?
No, no, no. Come on.
I'm just going to see what I woke up to. You were well past my bedtime. I'm an old man, as we discovered earlier. I was tucked up into my bed and snoring away from about 11 o'clock our UK time last night. That was about 2 or 3 hours before your announcement. So I just seen up. I've seen a number of people have now left the Stadia Bash community network over this because
right.
I'm not sure of the exact reasons. Did you actually go out and consult people, or was it just the head honchos?
Yeah, it was the head honchos. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you maybe could have got that out of it there? Because what I woke up to was I'm leading Stadia Bash network sort of talk.
Well,
I was sent a couple of wee things.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is what happened. We announced that we got a side project we're doing, right? We got another thing for people who don't play Stadia, people who don't play video games at all. If you guys want a place to have your content discovered, and it has nothing to do with Stadia, hey, you can put your content on here. It's nothing we're gonna like the Stadia Bash Community Network is schedules. We as manpower, we have to man that. We have to. This is just gonna be, hey guys, I do a retro show. Would you mind if I put it on the EBCN? Cool. Hey guys, I do a cooking show. Would you mind? Cool. Now, that has nothing to do with Stadia Bash Community Network. So the people who left because of something that has nothing to do with that, that's on them. So think about it. Nowhere on the Stadia Bash Community Network does it, like I said, if you woke up today, you would have no clue there was such a thing called EBCN. You had no clue because it has nothing to do with the Stadia Bash Community Network. So again, I don't know. Maybe we could have reiterated it better. I don't know. You have to watch the announcement and tell me. But I think we was very clear. But some people felt like, wait, isn't this what Stadia Source did? How is it? We didn't change the name. Literally nothing changed. But a good guy, Raging Jacob, came up with a new graphics. It still called Stadia Bash Community Network. So nothing for the Stadia Bash Community Network changed. So then, why I don't see what the consultation was, right? Hey, just to let you know, I know your spot is at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I just want to let you know we got some other thing over here. And then your response is, oh, does that change my time? No. Well, what does that do with my time? Oh, it's doing nothing. I just want to let you know. Like, wait, you're telling me for what?
Yeah, you want to keep it real? We'll keep it real here.
Yeah.
I also of other people as well. For some reason, people like talking to me. I don't know what the reason is because I'm a complete another head the ball. But I think like the Stadia hashtag Stadia 100 carry on. I think the timing of it took people by surprise because of how close it was to Stadia Source rebranding into something else. I'll be frank with you. I think your mistake was making it part of. I think you shouldn't have mentioned the Stadia Bash Community Network, and you should have just called it. We're just doing this new project. This is this. This has nothing to do with this at all.
Gotcha.
I think with you combining it in has made it extremely messy. But,
well, here's the thing. No, what I want to say is this. So people know us for the Stadia Bash Community Network, right? So what I'm trying to think is if we never said because we never said this is coming to. So when I was being clever by saying biggest announcement, but I never said coming to the Stadia Bash Community Network ever, right? I said the guys behind the Stadia Bash Community Network. So it's keywords is being clever, right? But for the person who's just getting into gaming, let's say you do a cooking show, right? You don't play video games at all. So you go on this EBCN and you see Stadia Bash Community Network, you see PlayStation, Cloud Station TV, you see this, you see that, you see cooking, you see retro. Now, you could be like, oh, they got PlayStation content on here. Let me watch. Or you could see, oh, they got GeForce TV. What is that? GeForce Now. Then you could see Stadia Bash Community Network. What is that? Why would we leave that off of there when this thing has like everything you could think of? Now, what we won't do is have a link for the Stadia Bash on the Stadia Bash Community Network that links you to that. That's what we won't do, right? So what's weird is if you feel like this has some type, like, I don't, the contrast, the only contrast is the guys who created this also created this. But the guys who created this didn't turn this into that. You know what I'm saying? But I know people want to do that and want to say that because of what happened before with GSN. But that was what they did. I can't help that. That's not what we did. But again, that's what people want to do. But you can't do it because that's not what happened. You can say it, but you can't write it on. You can't even draw it on a piece of paper and say the Stadium Bash Community Network turned into the EBCN. You can't do it. It just, no matter how you explain it, you can't do it. You know, you can't do it.
And but they will, and that's what I was saying about the Stadia 100. That was
right.
Unfortunately, that is the timing and such like. But again, I just put it out there as well. Some people have also said the people who were out criticizing Stadia Source for doing the Stadia whatever was it gaming? What's it? Sorry,
I had the same hard time. Gaming Source Network.
Gaming Source Network. There was people out there who were, I was going to say, slabbering, making fun of, and doing things about that are all loving, enjoying over that, and it's just there's other people finding that quite ironic at this moment in time. Who have been into my or who have been speaking to me numerous.
But see, I think so. Here's the thing: those people who see that ironic, they're using this to be able to. So I can make a joke out of a person falling out of a car, right? And you can find out that that person fell out of the car was crippled, and then it might not be a joke anymore, right? Like, oh man, that was funny, but now you found out. So these people are using something to make a joke, but if you follow the joke, it holds no weight. It's just it's something that they could use, but if you say, oh wow, let me find out the punchline. So you hear the punchline, oh, isn't that ironic? That's funny. But then if somebody say like, oh, what's the joke? Like, well, the joke is people was making fun of this turning into this, and they turned that into that. And somebody say, what? They didn't turn that into that. Like, well, I know they didn't, but like, well, then where's the joke? I thought you said they turned this into that, but they didn't. So where's the joke? So there really isn't no joke because what people are making a joke out of isn't really what happened. So that's the truth of it. There's always a truth behind it. So if somebody could get on here or somebody in the comments or you yourself want to let me know how is it the same thing, I want to hear it. But people can't because we thought, listen, here's what's funny. Before they did that, we thought about this months before that. I was the guy that said, listen, we can never change the name. After Stadia, the closing of the studios, I said the day we change the name, all hell's gonna break loose. We have to stay. Stadia has to be in the name. Even I told the story. Will, Stadia Pro, for months, he said, dude, I want to do a retro show. I said no. The other guys was like, well, what's wrong with it? I said, because if we allow him to do a retro show that has nothing to do with Stadia on the Stadia Bash Community Network, people are going to flip their hats. Then somebody going to say, well, let me do a Nintendo show. And so even Cyborg, he called me up a Saturday morning, was pissed off. Why are you telling him he can't do that? You're being really rigid. I said, dude, this is Stadia Bash Community Network. We're not going to add different. Well, I seen somebody do a podcast and they mentioned others. I said, dude, if you do a Stadia podcast and you mention you used to play with Legos, that's fine. If you start off talking about Stadia, end with Stadia, that's fine. But you can't come. Cyborg even said to me, well, what if we do a disclaimer? This show has nothing to do with Stadia. I said, then it doesn't need to be on Stadia Bash Community Network. So we thought long and hard. What could we do? Dude, I got an everything channel. My content ain't on the Stadia Bash Community Network. My wife and I do a show for over a year. It will never be on the Stadia Bash Community Network because it's not about Stadia. But if we did an entertainment bash community network, whoa, my wife and I have the ability to get new audience. Because maybe somebody who came to watch a retro show might be like, oh, what the hell is the Sandy and Anthony show? Oh, what is the Stadia Bash Community Network? Oh, what's Cloud Station TV? So all the people we partner with, they get a chance to get viewers that they may not have had. So, I mean, I love the jokes and they can, but guys, bring it to me because you won't get shut down. So bring it to me. Don't tell Duncan, because he can laugh with you, but you bring it to me. I dare you. We put so much time and energy into this because I was specific. I don't want the same backlash that happened to GSN. I love those guys. And you can say, That's funny. Look like you're doing the same thing, but it's not. If you tell me it is, let me know. I will explain it to me like a 3rd-year-old, a 3rd grader. Explain it. That's all I'm saying. But I was waiting for this. Not from you, but I was waiting for people, obviously. But it's not the same thing. Now, let's get real, all right? You brought it up. We were going to talk about it. The people,
I said to your face.
I love it. That's why, dude, I wanted so bad to work with you because we're one of the same, right? You and I could sit down and we could just talk about everything, and we would have everybody pissed. But guess what? You can't say I lied, and you can't say Duncan lied. All right, let me not speak for Duncan. You can't say I lied. If I say something, I'm telling the truth. If you could say, well, Anthony, you lied, then you let me know I lied. But everything I say is going to be 100% real or factual. And people don't like that. You can't handle the truth. Remember that? Now, let's get real, okay? Guys, you listening? The people who left, right? They left for their own reasons. Because, again, in my illustration, if your time slot was 2 p.m., I don't know, 2 p.m. Eastern, right? What the hell does the Entertainment Bash Community Network has to do with your time slot on the Stadia Bash Community Network? So your excuse for leaving is not valid. And I don't care who that goes for everybody who left, right? Now, Duncan, you brought it up. Did you think you should have consulted with everybody? We probably could have, but you know what would have happened? The Stadia Bash Community Network would have never even happened if we consulted with everybody. Do you know there's certain people who left the Stadia Bash Community Network? When we gave the announcement that we was creating the Stadia Bash Community Network, there was people who said, I don't want to be a part of it. This isn't going to work. Months later, we're kicking it up. We got people who's joining. We got other people that want to join, right? So if we if we brought it to everybody, it would be too many voices trying to control the narrative, and then we would just be like, all right, well, this isn't going to work because everybody don't believe into it. You have to come up with an ideal, come up with a plan, and then you create it and you stick with it, and then and if the people don't like it, if the large majority of people don't like it, then maybe you need to reevaluate it. But if a couple people don't like it and you still bring something to the table that a lot of people could benefit, then you run with it. People don't like Stadia, and we're still playing Stadia. So I'm just saying the people who left, that's on y'all. Now, there's people that's gonna say, I'm trying to get real a little bit, but tiptoe on it. Um, well, it's a conflict of interest. This is what I call a conflict of interest. Okay? Conflict of interest is I'm doing my show about Stadia. Duncan's doing his show about Stadia, but Duncan's like, my show is way better than Anthony's show, and he could never do what we do. And then I'm like, dude, why are you slamming us, right? Now it's becoming a conflict of interest. But if Duncan do his show and I do my show, I don't even care if we're doing our show at the same time. Dude, Duncan's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. It's not my fault the Stadia audience is small. So maybe some of the same people watch the same people. It just is what it is. I mean, I've been hit with oh, you're doing stuff at the same time as us. Bro, what am I supposed to do? It ain't but so many times in the day. If I say, oh, you know what, this is a great idea, for whatever reason I gotta do something now, and I decide to do it, I don't feel it's a conflict of interest, unless I'm telling people, hey, don't watch them, watch me. I've always said it. The Stadia Bash Community Network is going to get big to the point there's going to be people streaming at the exact same time. Our schedule isn't going to go forever. All the times are going to fill out. Then we're going to have 2 people streaming at the same time. So do we say, and then maybe 30 people watch you and 12 people watch me? That's for the people to decide who they want to watch, who maybe their favorite is, or who they connect with, right? But I get the term conflict of interest. I get how people use it, and I get how people spin it as well. But sorry to go. But I wanted to explain it.
Just for the people streaming at the same time, I have said this for a while now, and I think I even said this when I was at Stadia Source, which is about maybe a year or so ago. I have absolutely no problem with people streaming at the same time. At the very, very beginning, there was we'll call it, it's not going to be, I'm just trying to put it correctly here.
I got you.
There was an agreement put out there that sort of behind the scenes that if Stadia Source or was streaming I'm just going to pick some. Sound to Stadia will not be streaming at the same time.
Right.
It was sort of an agreement between the different content creators out there that there wouldn't be any duplication of things. We're past that point now,
Yeah.
and we have to just accept that there is going to be people on at the same time.
Yeah.
We all have to just suck it and see what happens. If I
Well,
get two people watching me, and like you said, 15 people watching you, that is absolutely fine. That's where people want to go.
yeah.
If people want to go watch someone else, that is fine. But I do believe there is still the issue out there that the Stadia community as a whole is extremely small,
Yes.
and there is lots of I call it all the time, and people laugh. There's lots of ancestral stuff going on there that people watch one show will watch the other show, and if people are on at the same time, there is a clash between the
I agree.
different people.
But and
Uh,
you know what? That's not the content creator's fault. That's the people who are
no,
viewing fault. Now, I'm gonna be real. So I'm gonna tell something public that not many people know because you brought it up. I was a part of Stadia Source and GSN, but I left last night. So I'm doing a lot more content, and I was told that hey, you can't stream like you said. You can't stream at the same time. So when I did the thing with Chase hit me up and said, hey, bro, listen. Um, I'm gonna give you the scoop. We're gonna go live right now, and if you can't do it, then that's it. And I said, now mind you, I just did my thing with Avery, right? I did my just sit down discussion with Avery. When I got off of that, it was my birthday was like the next day, so my wife and I was supposed to spend time. I see Chase write me, hey dude, I thought about it and I want to actually clear the air and I'm gonna talk to you and only you and I'm only gonna do it right now. Inbox me. I'm like, whoa. Now for me, that's the hottest. That was the hottest scoop going on in the community. Let's be honest. That week, Chase big thing was the hottest thing. Who, you think I would have said no? Who would have said no? So I did it. You know what I get? Hey, I don't think it was cool that you did that. And so I fought it. I said, listen, you would have did it. Like who wouldn't? No, you should have told him that you should have said to him, I can't right now, because speaking of Stadia is going live. It's their first debut. And I was like, what? Like how the dude said he's only doing it now. Now, if I felt he could have did it another time, I would have said yeah. Anyway, without getting to all the details, this spawned into well, hey, you can't because what you said, I was never told I couldn't stream at the same time with Stadia Store. I was never told that, but it was made clear. So
I just want to jump in here. When I was, and it was even a wee while ago. It's not good practice to stream at
okay,
the
got
same
you.
time
Okay,
as
got you.
someone else.
All right. Well, so I was
If I was to start a cloudy show up right now to compete with Chase on his Saturday morning thing, that would not be a nice thing to
right,
do,
right,
and
right.
it'll be and that's what we're talking sort of about.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that if you got a lot. Listen, here's my thing. If Chase said to me, "Hey, bro, when you're free, let me know. We could do a show," and you let me schedule it. Cool. What I'm talking about is, let's say Chase is doing his Saturday morning show, and somebody say, "Hey, listen, I'm going on vacation. You guys been planning streaming. I could only do it right now." You could either say no or okay, cool, right? If you really want to do it for so long and this is the only time, I feel like that shouldn't be a problem, right? Again, at the end of the day, people can watch what they want to watch. Now, for me, I tried a whole week of just okay. There was certain stuff I wanted to do, and I was like, oh damn, I can't stream because again, I'm going up against a whole GSN. There's a lot of people streaming. When could I stream? When could I can't stream? So for me, the State Best Community Network, we got people stream. Dude, you know how many? Forget people. You know how many people vet streams all the time, right? So we got over 40 people streaming, less than that now that people left. We got a bunch of people streaming throughout the week. So how how many times I'm like, I don't want to stream when a Stadia Bash Community Network people are streaming. And everybody's like, dude, if you do that, you're never gonna stream. You can't do that. My Sandy and Anthony show, which is over a year old now, is Thursday nights. I always miss Cherry Man Gaming stream. I miss when I do the Stadia Store stream. I always miss the Emperor Collins. There's certain people I miss because I stream at the same time, right? So for me, I was like, man, it's gonna be, and we got this new thing coming, right? It's gonna be so hard for me to stick to. I won't stream when somebody stream. I couldn't do it, you know. So that's just me putting my own stuff out there, so people don't spin and twist. Wait, man, I didn't see you on the podcast, or I didn't see you streaming. You know, just for me, the schedule did become a conflict. It was made to me to become a conflict. I didn't ever had a conflict, but I can see where it would be a conflict.
Yeah, the one thing I will say above anything else is the one person you do not watch on the Stadia Bash Community Network is Sammy in the Clyde. He is just awful. You just do not watch
Do
him.
not say Sammy is a great guy.
And he is absolute Egypt.
So I'm looking at the comments, and Ray Sherrod said my Tuesday morning is open, and he's doing a crying face. You know why that is? Mute it.
Sorry, I broke up there.
Oh, I said Ray said his Tuesday morning spot is now open, and I asked you, did you know why that is?
No.
So unfortunately, one of the people, I'm going to say it the way I'm saying it, we pissed off was Rock. And Rock's a great guy. A lot of people love him in the community. But you know, us creating something new, evidently bothered him. I'm not 100% sure how does it affect him, because he was doing something for the Stadia Bash Community Network, the Blog Bash on Tuesday mornings, and he also is going to be doing stuff for GSN. So by right, he was doing two different things, and then we came up with something else that he had nothing to do with. He's not even a part of. So I kind of don't understand where his issue is personally. If you can explain that to me, I'm welcome to hear that. If you can speculate.
I would rather not speak for Rock, because Rock's got a big enough gulp for himself, and he can speak to himself.
Cool. All right, fair enough. So that's what. Yeah, fair enough. So,
he would be a lot more eloquent and all this sort of stuff, but I think he will let his Rock will eventually let his reasons out there. So I think what Rock likes to do is take some time out, like he said he was going to do here. He's going to be off for the week while he contemplates some things. So I think we will all find out what is going on maybe after his time off.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I don't want to pigeonhole anybody, so I'm not saying, oh man, you have to work with Stay Back Community Network. I'm not saying you can't work with GSN. I'm not saying you can't work with Cloudy with Games. I'm not saying you can't. You can do whatever you want. The way I look at it. Again, my conflict of interest is if your intentions. You know, I'm all about intentions. So if we got like a camaraderie and we know about it, right? Like Chase and I once was building this whole me versus him, and it was going to be a TSI versus behind the scenes. Not many people knew about it, but it's going to be TSI versus the SBCN. That's cool, right? It's fun, it's games. But if you intentionally like, listen, we're going to intentionally put a show on the same time Duncan's doing his show and try to steal his views, then that's not cool. But at the end of the day, I still don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. So if somebody wants to be an a-hole, that's on them. I don't believe in that practice, but that's still on them. Guys, if you got any questions, let me know. Let me and Duncan know. I don't know how much more we could go into this part, but I just explained, you know, what our plans was and what we did, and how I feel it has affected people, and how I feel I was hopeful that it wouldn't affect people, but I knew some people would take it and spin on it, especially because of what recently happened with other name people. Like what? Oh, here, let's talk about this real quick. What do you think about? I guess Thursday, was it Thursday that somebody put out there the Google rules of using names, and it shook the community up, man. So
that's nothing new. That has been behind the scenes talk.
Right.
That has been known for about a year now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just this has. I'll just put it out there. I think this has came to light because there's a lot of new streamers out there and new content creators who were not aware of it. I think when I broke off from Stadia Source, I did not want to have Stadia or any sort of name in my stuff because of them sort of issues. So that's why we went nice and generic and tried to be a bit funny. Right. But I again, when you've got a brand name in your name, you are playing a bit with fire. I don't think they will go after you,
Yeah.
but it does limit you down the road to doing things. So if you've got a Stadia logo in your name or as a logo inside your logo itself, you could run the risk of things happening down the line. So it is better to probably not have that and be
Right.
a bit generic. Like you've got Clive, it's Clive, and we're Friday. Having Stadia Bash Community Network just as a catch-all is probably okay. But if you have got Stadia in your name, you're not playing with fire. Is probably too strong of a word. It's going to limit you somewhat down the line.
Yeah. So I look at it like this: PlayStation has been around forever. Xbox has been around forever. If you Google and look up how many people PlayStation or Xbox came after for using the name, this is the thing. They put that out there as a clause, meaning if I call myself Stadia Guy, and I go and say I hate everybody who wear pink, and in the name of Stadia Guy, then I'm going to have an issue because I'm using their name in a derogatory sense. So that's when they could come after you. But you just doing your normal daily operations, these big companies aren't coming after you for that. But they put that out there to cover their own self, you know?
Exactly. And you're always you're always going to be under the risk of something happening to you because it is there and it is their brand. And you, if you say something that they don't like, they could just shut you down
Right.
like that. So again, this is not surprising. It's one of them things. Do I think they're going to go after people? The chances are probably 99% of people out there they are not going to go after.
No.
But there is always the chance that they may go after you. So,
and let's be real, you got to be big enough to be on their radar too, man. Like,
exactly.
I mean, come on. You got 200 subscribers. You're not on their radar. You got, it's just.
If you're, let's be real. I think StadiaCast changing their name was a smart thing to do because they're over 10,000 now, and
Right.
then branching out and calling themselves Nerdness now. I think that's the thing. It's StadiaCast. I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's all.
Right.
Even if something goes a bit iffy there, they can change the podcast name, and that's all going to be fine. But building your brand on Stadia and having it as let's be frank, are we talking about who it is? Or not talking about who it is on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about it.
With Stadia Dad changing his name to Cloud Dad now, is it?
Cloud Dad Gaming, I think.
Cloud Dad Gaming. I think it was absolutely sickening, the stuff what was chucked his way. Absolutely sickening. And again, part of that, I'm going to be frank, it was down to the Studio 100 carry on as well.
See, I'm going to jump in there. So for me, right, I was watching the stream, one of his streams, and we was all in the stream. We was just laughing and joking, right? Now, people laugh and joke sometimes, but at the expense of others, right? So he was laughing and joking with us. Now, how much of that he probably was pissed off about? Could be a lot, but in his stream, we was all laughing and joking, making up dumb, silly names, right? Now, but nowhere did I see any Stadia 100 type stuff at all. Now, what I did, I'll speak for myself. My thing was hard, right? I call Stadia Dad a friend. He's like the nicest guy. But here's my thing, right? When GSN, let's just call it for what it is, or whoever, I made a blanket statement, didn't point at any person, but it was just up in the air, and I called the term distancing yourself. And the people who was my friends, right? It was cool when I did it with them. They didn't have a problem, right? It was funny. Oh yeah, look. So when my friends did it, if I didn't say nothing, how am I keeping it real? Now it's favoritism. Now it's like, oh, you could say that when a GSN or whatever does it, but I don't know, whoever does it, try not to say people's names too much, but when they do it, so, oh, you say nothing. So I was like, damn. That's me putting my own foot in my mouth because I made awareness from it before, my own personal thing. Whoever's saying whatever, that's on them. So I'm just speaking about me. So for me, I made my little statement. with the increasing amount of people distancing themselves from the Stadia brand. I should have used the term before brand, because yes, if your name was Stadia, whatever, and you changed it, then you are distancing yourself from the brand. You can't say, before I just said from Stadia altogether, which is probably not accurate. So that was probably a bad way to word it. But saying the brand, then you could fact check it, because yes, you're technically, like you said, you're not being tied to a brand if you don't use the name or the symbol, right? So that's grammatically correct this time what I said. But again, I knew that would ruffle some people, especially Stadia Dad, and I'm like, damn, man. But you know what? I'm still me, right? And again, I don't want to be looked at as favoritism. Oh, Anthony. Oh yeah, you said all that. You ain't saying nothing now. I'm like, damn, here we go. So I put out my post and I wanted to leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, you know.
The way I'm saying it is about the Stadia 100. Every slightly better as it was the purity test, and this just feeds more into it. If you take away Stadia, it is you're not showing loyalty to the brand and all that sort of carry on. When in reality it was just covering themselves going forward. And this is what people do not get. It's some of these rebrands are done for covering reasons, like Stadia Dad. I'm just going to call him Stadia Dad still. He is still Stadia Dad. He has no intentions of doing any other content or Stadia content out there. He's using the Clyde in his name just as a catch-all sort of thing, because he doesn't want to use Stadia, and that is all what is going on there. But again, this is it. Unfortunately, I reached out to him as well just to make sure he was doing well, just like I reached out to you as well. I'll be honest, I reached out to both of you because I knew there was a lot of fun and games going on. Because it's just absolutely hostile out there at times.
But I personally didn't see anybody say to him or ask him, "Hey, does this mean you're not doing stuff?" I didn't see it. I thought everybody was just trying to be funny and making funny jokes. I didn't feel like people, because he's like, man, he's such a great guy. I didn't see nobody say, "Hey, you're no longer doing Stadia." Like, I feel like the biggest thing was probably my post, where people might be like, "Oh, is he trying to say he's not doing Stadia?" But I feel like I personally didn't see. I just seen people making fun, saying, "Oh, Cloud Daddy" or "Warm Dad" or whatever, So I don't feel like nobody actually said, "Hey, are you not doing Stadia?" I feel like they knew, like, hey, this thing came out and said Stadia could come after you, and a couple people was like, "Oh, you know what? Let's change our name just in case."
Yes, I think a number of people did come out were a bit. Again, we all talk about the Stadia community is brilliant, etc., etc. Yes, the vast majority of the Stadia community is brilliant. They are great. They play games with, talk to absolutely everything under the sun. However, there is a underlying nastiness from we'll keep the term going. The fanatics.
Yes.
The Stadia fanatics are absolute awful, massive toxicity, and they think they are they're positive, but it's actually positive toxicity out there, and they are causing so much harm out there that they do not see it. And it is absolutely shameful, some of the stuff which has been getting thrown about there. And I made a little speech yesterday about this as well, and I've had enough. There is people out there, and they are using their platform. There is people just on Twitter. There is content creators as well doing it, and they are really preaching hate towards anything which is Stadia negative at all, and I think it's absolutely shameful, and it needs to be stamped out as well, because I think some of these people don't realize what they are doing. They're actually inciting more people to go forward and do this sort of thing.
Right. Now, you know what's crazy though? You do know a lot of people put you in that category, right? When you said Stadia is gonna die, a lot of people it felt like you were probably the first or biggest person,
Clickbaiting again. If you go back and watch the video where I Stadia is dead and it's dying, I was not the only person to say that. And again, I was the one who picked out, surprise, surprise, because I think for unknown reasons to me, I seem to. I'm like, as you said, I'm the bad boy,
Right.
as you call it, which I find is extremely funny, of the Stadia community because I just said how I see it. And there was other people who mentioned that as well. There was people there who were shook and they were saying things, but the video, yeah, I said it, and unfortunately, the events over the last couple of weeks are sort of reinforcing my idea of as well.
Right.
But we're not going down that. I just think, yeah, people think I'm a negative, toxic influence on Stadia. I think there was some people in our chat last night, and I think they were actually shocked why I'm so negative about Stadia,
Right.
because there was the three of us there last night, and we were going through the reasons why we love Stadia and the reasons why, for me personally, why I'm so frustrated and I pick so many flaws in Stadia. It's because I want Stadia to succeed and push on. And yesterday I was so frustrated with the judgment news. It was completely and utterly unreal. That was a key game for them going forward. There has been a lackluster marketing campaign for it, if you can call it a marketing campaign, missed off that big massive feature, and it was accidentally discovered by the community,
Right.
where they could have been out there selling this and just selling Stadia for the masses out there and just showing the real why Stadia is great. And we haven't even touched on the cyberpunk stuff of last week either, which is funny as well.
Now you're talking about a video you did yesterday, right?
Yeah, the video I did yesterday, it was, we did two videos yesterday. Our first video was Cloudy's Roundup. Go watch it. I give a speech at the beginning, and at the 3/4 of the way through it, we start talking about Stadia. We're actually going to be putting the links into the video at some stage if I follow my backside to do it, but I've been so busy today.
Yeah, and I'll put the links. I'll put the links in here too. Send me the links on Twitter, and then I'll add it in here. So anybody watching this, if you're watching it back, you'll have the links.
We sit and talk about Stadia for about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and we talk why we love it and why we find it so frustrating, because we want Stadia to do so well, and it is just in such an awful place, in my view, and what we think they should be doing to actually get out from this. Right. And I think it's really, I think it just shows the passion that we actually have for Stadia.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question real quick. If you're an adult and you are into news and media, right? And so when you don't hear news and you don't see media in a positive light, you kind of feel something isn't doing well. Imagine a kid who's playing Stadia and he might be 11 years old, and a new game comes out. I don't know, Resident Evil coming out. He wanted his dad to buy it for him. Outriders come out. He wanted his dad to buy it for him. Do you think that kid thinks Stadia is doing well or bad?
I haven't a clue, because they don't have.
Because the kid, no, say that one part again. I think it went silent.
The kid would probably want to pay Fortnite.
Right. Because what I'm saying is the kid, the parent who's just like, hey, this is a platform. A game come out, I'll buy you the game. You could pay I'm paying $9.99. The kid isn't paying for anything. He just get it, Dad, I want this game. Here's a game. Oh man, they got some cool games, or I don't like the games this month. I'm pro, but he's just playing games, whatever. This kid would potentially think Stadia is the coolest thing, right? Because why? He's not paying attention to what Google isn't saying or what Google is saying and what this saying. He's just literally enjoying a service that works, and he's getting games day and date, which may or may not work if you look at Outriders. But
yes, but the thing, yes, I totally and utterly get your point, and there is some people out there who are doing that. Some kids are their first experiences of Stadia, and it's like, where this is absolutely grand. I can just jump into the games, and you're building it up that way. But here's the issue. You're talking about Resident Evil as getting children in the games. There is a distinct lack of children's games on Stadia,
right.
And they really need to push that forward if they're going to capture that market.
Yeah, but you
can pay their $10 a month and get Stadia Pro. You're now going to be going, oh, I can pay this money and I can, we Johnny can
So
get on Xbox and get all them games. Plus, he's got access to Fortnite, and I.
now you
This
know
is
it's
where
bad. You mentioned games for kids. When they show Paw Patrol, right? So many people was like, "Boo!" I'm like, "This is where you can't win." If people complain that it's too many indie games, not enough indie games, not enough AAA games. Oh, they only got AAA games, not indie games. Oh, they coming out with SpongeBob. Who the hell wants SpongeBob? You can't satisfy everybody, man. It's crazy. But
exactly you can't satisfy anybody, and when you get I think I was one. I think I was maybe one of the few people on Twitter out there welcoming this and saying this is the perfect game to get on Stadia. And you can go back months upon months with the receipts and say I've been the one who has been calling for Fortnite. I've been mocked for calling for Fortnite. I think Fortnite needs to be on Stadia. I think Roblox needs to be on Stadia. I think Minecraft needs to be on Stadia, but that's not realistic as
right,
coming to Stadia. They need to go out there and get some of these games onto Stadia to draw in the younger market. And again, I don't know who is actually picking their games at Stadia and choosing what games are coming because
right,
there just doesn't seem to be an actual plan there. This is where I give Luna a lot of praise. Is the games which are coming to Luna, there hasn't been any new games this week, and I slagged them off this week for not bringing any games.
mm-hmm.
The games which are coming to Luna, there seems to be thought into them games. So it looks like there's a gamer actually going, I want this game, I want that game. And they're picking out niche titles, games for gamers, if that makes sense. So
Right.
But with Stadia, it just says, "Oh, we'll just take anything you want, and we'll welcome basically anything onto the
Well,
platform."
can we just put a little realism in here? The realism is if the platform haven't been out for 2 years yet. Well, how much stroke you think they got?
They have got wallets. They need to go out there, and if you think this
But they don't
until the
have
2 year,
player base. That we still got to remember. You know, they're hold on, hold on. Listen,
neither did Xbox, and they pumped in the absolute hundreds of millions to get that into. If not, it's actually probably billions, and that is what Amazon
yeah,
are
yeah,
doing.
but hold on. So the thing with
They're pumping
Xbox,
them in.
when PlayStation was out and Xbox came out, Xbox was literally doing the same thing that PlayStation was doing. It was just another console, right? Stadia is shaking up the cloud industry, right? Now we could say GFN was out before it, right? Some people was like, I didn't even know that was out, right? Luna is yes doing exactly what Stadia is doing, but different because Luna model is only to get games on a pass. That's how they could survive. That's the only way they survive. Luna's strategy would be they have to get great and better games on their pass, right? That's their business model. That's not Stadia's business model.
Well, Stadia, it always comes back to the games, and the games they are getting a hodgepodge of nonsense at times, and they appeal to a very select audience. We were talking
But
about
you're
this
talking about
last night.
Stadia Pro, right? You're talking about Stadia Pro.
No, just Stadia in general. There just doesn't seem to be a concise and other strategy there of what games are coming. And I think people are very, very naive if they think Stadia is only 2 years old. Stadia is at least 4, 5, maybe even 6, 7 years old. The deals they needed to be striking were deals about 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah, but hold on. 3 or 4, 5 years ago, what company is like, oh hell yeah, Stadia? They're probably like what? Look at PlayStation now. That thing sucks. What do we look like? Come on, man. You gotta be real. We could say the money.
That is what you have to do to get into the game, and it is to drop absolute fortune.
But here's what I don't understand. We stand here today, right? What AAA games in the last, I don't know, since Cyberpunk hasn't Stadia got? So they're doing like, yes, you might say a smaller game that I probably never heard of, or but when people think of gaming, like yeah, the Call of Duty, they're probably never gonna get it. I don't know. The rumor is Activision want to come up with their own like cloud thing. I don't know if that's gonna work or whatever. But for them, they probably should, right? Because they could make probably more money. But like imagine tying somebody into a service to get Warzone. Warzone is free, but now you can make money off of it. But anyway, what games, AAA games, like when you think of a console, you don't be like, oh, well, they didn't get Dracula. Like, what the hell is Dracula, right? Or, I don't know, a smaller game. You're more or less like, oh, what Triple H game did they get? And then you fill in the blanks, right? So the big catch your eye, which people, you would have been saying something different before, a year ago. Oh, Stadia didn't get this and Stadia didn't get that. But now they are getting, again, we're talking about that goalpost people move. Now Stadia is getting the AAA games day and date, but it's still not good enough. Well, they're still young.
Yeah, the young thing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a game company is 2 weeks old or 100 years old, and Nintendo's over years old. If they don't get the games, it does not matter. We're going to say that.
Yeah, but what games? What games are you talking about? What games did Luna get and Stadia didn't get that you're talking about?
You're not comparing like for like, and you know you're not comparing like for like.
I'm just asking you. You said Luna got a bunch of games
okay,
and Stadia's getting these games, but what games are we talking about?
Okay, where is MLB The Show?
Well, that was a PlayStation only game, so guess what? Then Xbox got it.
Yeah, Xbox.
All right, let me ask you a question. There's a term when we talk about credit, right? Listen, when we talk about credit, there's a lot of people say, "Oh, how good is your credit score?" And they just think this is what they think. Your credit score only has to do with how good is your credit, right? Like, oh, are you paying your bills on time, right? Oh, that's it. No, there's a background thing called debt to income ratio. That means you make this much money so you can afford to buy this and this, right? So debt to income ratio in this scenario would be the player base and the money. Yes, we got so much money, but our player base isn't big enough to just go throw out wads of cash. You get what I'm saying?
But that's what you have to do to get the games onto it.
But if, listen.
Do you think Google is going to sit around and let billions, if you're going to go, do you think Google is just going to let Stadia go about there and mess about with these indie games? We're just building this up. Do you think Google is going to have the long-term strategy there to get to allow that? Like you have said, you get worried when these annual franchises do not come back. We've got 2 at the moment. We're probably going to have 3, if not more. If I am extremely worried in a month or two's time when NBA gets announced and PGA gets announced.
So let me say this. I'm gonna throw out my game. All right. So hold me to it. All right. If WWE 2K22 don't come, I'm gonna have some issues. I'm gonna be like, hold up, because I'm a fan. Right.
But I would be more concerned about NBA. If NBA does not come, I think it will be panic stations.
I agree.
And I don't think there is any amount of spinning out there that people can do to say, oh my God, this is really bad. Along with FIFA and Madden. I still think FIFA and Madden are safe for this year. I think that's the 2 other EA games. But then you're into, what about Battlefield? What happens if Battlefield doesn't come? Would you be worried if Battlefield doesn't come this year?
I don't know, because I feel like Battlefield got overshadowed by Call of Duty for so many years. And this is Battlefield time to try to make a comeback and make a name for themselves. So I really don't, I know Battlefield hasn't been the top dog in some years now, where they once, very long time ago, they was above Call of Duty. So if you're spending money to get games to the service, I think Battlefield would be good to get. Is looking good, but look at the last Battlefield that looked great and then it just didn't do good.
But what happens if you don't have Battlefield and you don't have Call of Duty? Are we allowing Stadia and Duty?
Say that last part again.
Are Stadia allowed another year with on the platform, along with no Fortnite, along with no Rainbow Six?
Well, I would hope Rainbow Six would be coming inside of Ubisoft Plus, but
it's all went quiet. I think we're going to have a shock in the next couple of months. I remember we're meant to be getting all the Ubisoft games going forward. I don't think we're getting Prince of Persia, and that is going to be out on every other platform and Nintendo lineup. I think it's a lock. And I think there's going to be. I think that someone has said this to me, and I'm just stealing their words. I think this E3 is going to be a wake up call for the Stadia community, and I think that is really true of where Stadia is in the grand scheme of things. If Cyberpunk hasn't sort of shown it as well.
Right. Well, listen, man.
I think we have to wrap it up here.
Yeah. Are you gonna? I'm actually gonna be a guest on Cloud Gaming Extreme.
I can get to show that to you there as well.
Yeah, so let's do it. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. This has been pretty cool. I love talking to Duncan. It's just awesome, man. You know, we try to bring something to the table, and I just want to apologize because Duncan and I kind of have a hard time shutting our mouth sometimes, and we just kind of tell it how like it is, and it might rub some people the wrong way, but we don't mean any harm intentions. But you know, we just have a legit conversation, and we just kind of say what we got to say. But with that said, Duncan, any last things you want to say?
Good evening, everybody. Games are meant to be fun. Go play games and enjoy yourself. This is just a bit of crack, and it's a bit of banter and things like that. People take things far, far too serious, and we need to jump in right now.
All right.